Good afternoon, everybody. This is Christian White, continuing on with the series Listening to Learn, where I go around interviewing random people about their lives to show the connections between all of our backstories. Today, I am with Miss Lanijah Bridges, whom I follow on Facebook, yet had never had the pleasure to meet, and this is the meeting right now.
Hello, everybody.
Trust me, that her personality is much bigger than that. Right now, it's just it'll phase out. So I'll ask you the first question that I ask everybody. What is your earliest childhood memories?
Well, my earliest childhood memories is when I went to Miami to visit my grand aunt, God rest her soul. And, you know, back then, Miami was full of, like, flea markets. I don't know if you've been to Florida or whatever, but it was full of flea markets. And I got lost. And my aunt ended up finding me, and she was like, oh, man, you got to come back to Boston. I was supposed to actually stay out there with my aunt. Like, I was supposed to live out there indefinitely. And then when I got lost in the flea market and stuff, like, my mom was like, all right, you come back to Boston. And then, like, when my mom came out there, we went to Miami Beach. And like, I learned how to swim at a young age, but around that time I didn't know how to swim. And like the waves was very like, the waves was very like deep and high. So I was trying to get back to the beach with the sand or whatever it was. And the waves kept pushing me back. And I was like,
how old are you
I was like 4 or 5.
4 or 5?
Yes. So I remember that. But I don't really have...
So are you originally from Miami?
No.
I'm
from Boston.
So what part of Boston are you from?
I'm originally from Roxbury, originally. I grew up in South End, and then I moved to Projects and Academy Homes, and I was like 9, 10. And then what happened was I had suffered with behavioral problems, and my mother in the school didn't know what to do with me, so they had me hospitalized in all these different psych hospitals as a child until they found me a residential program for me to go to when I was a kid. So
let me ask, would this be DSS or would this have been DYS?
This is DSS.
Okay. So there was like a chins filed on you?
I believe so. I was like, I think I was like 10 or 11 when the chins was filed on me. But I remember when around that time I was in child assessment unit in Cambridge.
And how old are you now?
I'm 29.
29?
Yes.
So this was 19 years ago?
Yes. And I left Boston and I went to the Cambridge Hospital in the child assessment unit. And I was hospitalized for like 7 months there until they found me a residential program. Around that time, they diagnosed me with bipolar disorder. Early onset child bipolar disorder, whatever they call it. And so at that time, when they had me there, I went to numerous. That wasn't even the first. First of all, that wasn't even the first hospitalization I was in when I was a kid. Like the first one, I was in Children's Hospital. Beta 5 unit. It was called Beta 5. I don't know what they call it now, but it was called Beta 5.
And what age would this have been?
I was like 7, 8. And my mom couldn't figure out what was going on with me because I was lacking sleep. Like I had a sleeping disorder. I was acting horrible in school.
Well, so let me ask. So it's like, I grew up in Roxbury.
Yeah.
And I can think of many of my peers and friends whom didn't act normal and who had behavioral issues, problems in school. What made yours stand out to your mom in light of the fact that a lot of children around you probably were going through things? What stood out for her?
I don't know. My mom really was, I just felt like my mom just took a lot of stuff out on me because of who my dad was. And she didn't understand how to handle my behavior, so she didn't know what else to do.
So tell me about the behaviors.
Well, growing up as a kid, back in the day in the 90s, the South End and the Roxbury was really bad. Like, I don't know if people know, but in the 90s, it was bad. Like, shootings everywhere. And you hear that kind of stuff as a kid. You're like, what's going on? That kind of reflects on you.
And you mean here in the actual shots?
Yes.
Okay.
So like that kind of reflects on you, and then like you go to school and you start acting out based on what you go through in your household, in your community. So my mother, she always groomed me very nice. I had long, pretty hair. I was dressed nice, whatever. But my mom, she lacked affection, you know. And instead of her sitting down and talking to me about, hey, don't behave this way, she'll think that spankings or whatever may be the case was going to help change that, which didn't. Because I would go to school and I would act crazy in school.
Do you mean like fighting and all that?
I guess I would fight the kids. I would fight the teachers. I wouldn't even like, and I was very smart. Like,
and you mean physically?
Yes.
Okay.
Academic wise, I was very smart, but physically, like in school, like when it came to behavior and stuff like that, I had an IEP, everything, because I had a behavioral problem. So
tell me about your dad.
I love him, but I don't like him.
Is he around?
He's around.
Was he around then?
No. He's always in jail. He's always in jail.
Do you remember a time when he wasn't in jail?
Yeah.
Was he around you then?
No. He's too busy getting high. Yep, too busy getting high.
And how long had that been the case for? Was he ever a part of your life at all?
I mean, he tried to be, like, not the way I wanted him to be, but, I mean, I know who he is. Like, I know my other siblings is. I used to stay the night at their house every weekend in the projects. Every weekend, because, you know, my father, they grew up in Bromley Heath Projects, you know. Every weekend I would go to Bromley Heath Projects to stay the night with my sisters, because it's like, we're so deep. He has so many kids, you know. Every weekend I would stay the night with them. And it's like he wasn't even there. Like, you know.
Now, do you have a relationship with your siblings?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what does your dad do now? Now that you're older, is he a part of your life now?
Not as much, no. And now that I'm older, I don't know. Like,
so I get now that you're older.
I don't feel like I need him.
Agreed. I agree. But I want to know how you felt when you were that 10-year-old girl going through these hospitals and going through what you were going through in school.
I wanted to know, like, why weren't neither one of my parents there? Like, what was, like, you put me in a hospitalization, first of all. DSS didn't have full custody of me. Now that I'm older and I understand how the system is. First of all, when I was a kid, DSS didn't have full custody of me. It was 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
So my mother had the overall say, period.
Yep.
And the fact that she allowed them to put me in all these group homes and programs while my little brother's at home living a regular life, going to school. I'm in these programs institutionalized, sleeping in a room with 3 other girls, having to write my name, my initials on the back of the tag of my clothes so my stuff won't get stolen. And if it does, I know it's mine because my name is tagged in the back. Like, this is the stuff I had to go through ever since I was 10 years old up until I was 18. I know all these programs. And all I ever wanted was both of my parents to just be there for me. Like, why did you let the system take care of me? Why couldn't you come with me or hold my hand and let's have family therapy or something together? Why did you have to run to the system and put me in these programs?
So let me ask, during this time, was your mom trying to be with your dad?
No, she doesn't like him.
Okay.
My mother's side of the family wasn't too fond of my father's side of the family. They didn't even approve of her even having me with him because he was an older man and my mother was so younger than him.
And how old is your younger brother?
On my
The one that was living at home still.
Oh, he's 27. That's and we have different fathers.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have different fathers, and his father raised me because he lived in the house with me and my mom and my brother. So my brother's father actually raised me. He was actually more with me than my actual father was.
So tell me more about the hospitalization in terms of once you get the diagnosis for bipolar disorder, does having that diagnosis change how you approach life? Like when you start to do things on a regular basis, do you say, "Oh, this could be the bipolar. This could." How do
Yeah,
you?
sometimes.
What did you vary from highs and lows? What did that look like in your everyday life?
Well, particularly, especially when I don't have the good support system that I need, it just, I don't know, like, I don't really like to use my bipolar as labeling me.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing I don't like, because growing up, people would say, "Oh, you're bipolar, that means you're a Riri," or "You're bipolar, that makes you a sped." Like, I got so many different labels from.
And by Riri, what do you mean?
Retarded.
Okay.
You know? "Oh, you're bipolar. Oh, you take meds. Oh, you're slow because you take meds because you're bipolar." Like, these are the stuff that I was going through. So.
And this would be black peers?
Yes.
Okay.
Within the community. They don't even have a real understanding of what bipolar is and how it works. And sometimes when I do get manic, and if I do get manic, I like to isolate myself from people. Like, when I get manic from my bipolar, I don't like to be around nobody, because I feel like anything can irritate me and I'm liable to fucking go the fuck off. And it don't even have to be you. You didn't even have to do anything. You're just there. You know?
And what about the lows?
I don't want to be. I don't get up out of bed. I'll sleep for days. I'm depressed. I'll cry. I'll cry myself to sleep. Like, it's just really bad. Like, people don't understand the seriousness of bipolar if you don't get it treated. And like right now, I am on some type of medicine, but I'm not overly medicated because I'm very vocal with my doctor about being bipolar disorder. So we'll lead up to now, but take me back then when you're a teenager, when you're going through the system, trying to go to school. At this point in time, were you still advocating for yourself, or were you living life? I was running away. Like,
I mean, so there was no medication.
There was no
treatment.
There was nothing.
So how were you coping on a day-to-day basis at this point in your life? What was life like for you in high school?
Bad. Like, I wasn't even really in high school like that because of that shit. Like, I would make rapid, irrational decisions thinking that it was okay. I would run away from group homes and not take my meds, and it would lead me to a road of destruction. It would lead me to prostitution out here. Like, I did a lot of stuff that I didn't have to really do, but I did because of the situations that I put myself in.
In the sense of like putting your back against the wall on purpose?
Yeah.
Now, did you drink alcohol, do weed, anything like that?
Yeah, I did at 15.
When was your first time doing any of that?
15.
So, and that's what in terms of what substance?
Like liquor and weed. I was 15 years old when I first started drinking and when I first started smoking. 15.
Now, did you feel like that temporarily helped you at all?
No. I mean, but it would numb my feelings. Like, numb how I really felt. But no. It was just a way for me to escape whatever thoughts or emotions I had at the moment. So I didn't have to think about it,
And I mean, were you always between a high and a low? Were there ever like times where you felt like? So let me ask this.
Yes, I got to a point where I had to actually go to the fucking emergency room and hospitalize myself because I was at a point where I was at extremely low, where I thought I was gonna hurt myself. Like, I literally like swallowed a pill, like of my own prescription bottle of pills.
And how old were you then?
I was like 19.
19?
Yeah.
So you go to the doctors, you say, look,
They pumped it out of me and everything.
And what happens immediately following that?
The state, well, what happened was when you get into situations like that and you're an adult, like there's DMH.
Mm-hmm.
So DMH, you know, you got DMH when you're a kid, but I feel like.
But so just I know what you mean, but just say what that means, just so.
Well, for people that don't know what DMH is Department of Mental Health.
Okay.
So when I was going through that, the hospitalization, the doctors, the psychiatrists, and all that, my team in the hospital pretty much suggested that I receive DMH services. Like, I'm DMH right now. Like, people don't even know that. And yeah, so I got DMH. And when I was younger, I really didn't take them serious as I do now. But, you know, they have services and programs and help that we could utilize from them, and I never really took it serious when I was younger.
So when you hospitalized yourself, was that your first time ever going in willingly?
Yes.
Okay. So when you hospitalize yourself, it doesn't sound as though life just gets better all of a sudden.
No.
What goes on in the following 6 months or a year? Like
I started going crazy. I started catching charges, assault battery charges. I started going to jail. I did time of Framingham.
Now, was this new to you, or I mean, so I know you were in DSS and
I
residential.
never been in DYS before.
So being arrested was new.
Yes.
When was your first time being arrested?
The first time I was arrested, I was about like 19.
And what was that for?
Assault battery.
And could you connect that to being in one of those higher low states?
Yes.
How do you know when you're about to experience one of those states? What does it look like to you? What does it feel like to you physically?
First of all, my head is like, my head spins. My head spins. My nose get red. I get hot. I get anxious, anxiety. It's like, you know, my mind races. I pace back and forth sometimes. Sometimes if you ever, like, people that know me and they know the cues of when I get mad, they be like, all right, she's pissed off about something, because this fat bitch, she keeps pacing back and forth in the hallway. She keeps pacing. What you pacing for? I don't know. I'm mad about something. Whatever it is, I'm mad, so I pace, you know? And like, you know, my mother told me to stop crying because crying is a sign of weakness. But when I'm mad and I know I want to do something really, 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 really bad, like, and I know I'm getting to that point, like, I'll cry. Mm-hmm. You know? And
why was crying a sign of weakness?
I don't know. My mother always told me. My grandmother told me, like, crying is a sign of weakness. Like,
so
you cry.
Is it possible your grandmother told your mom that, so your mom told you that?
Yeah, it's hereditary, probably. But I'm just.
How do you feel about expressing emotion today?
I'm open about it because, you know, I do radio and stuff, so it gives me a voice. And the last time I had actual show, I talked about mental health and the seriousness of it and the effects that it has in the community. People don't take it serious. People look at people like me that talk about it, oh, she's slow, and oh, she's slow, you know what I'm saying? Something's wrong with her. She's not all the way mentally wrapped too tight, which is really not even the case, because just because you're bipolar don't mean that you're not aware of what's going on in society. You just have a different way of thinking from time to time. Your emotions are, you know, are in balance.
So how do you cope now with everything that you know when you start to feel that pressure in your head, or that feeling of being hot?
I just think of the consequences that's behind everything, honestly. And that, like, I'm getting too old. I'm getting way too old.
But you do take medication right now.
Yes.
And you go to therapy right now.
Yeah, I go to therapy. I go once a week. I go to group therapy once a week.
And there's 2 separate therapies?
Yes.
Okay. So
yeah, it's a group therapy is like
well,
my choice.
No. I'm just trying to establish it's not like the group therapy is the same therapy.
No,
it's
I have
two different.
I have an individual therapy.
So you go to therapy twice a week in a sense,
pretty
and take
much,
medication.
yeah.
Is this every day?
Yes.
Okay, so let me ask: if you were not going to your group and your individual therapy and not taking your medication, how would you be coping if you would be coping at all?
I would be an alcoholic. I'd be doing dumb shit. Like there's no other way to say it. I use alcohol.
So what
for
does
all my
the
problems.
what does the so this I'll end it with this question, and it's a two-part question. How do you believe that we can begin to raise awareness around the stigma in the Black community specifically, and also what is success for you when it comes to dealing with the mental health issues?
Well, first and foremost, we as a community, we need to stop caring what other people think about us. I think a lot of us we get embarrassed, or we get around certain people or a certain crowd of folks, and we're afraid to be looked at a certain way. That's the problem we have in our community. People care too much of what other people think. But when your health is on when your sanity is on the line, that's something that people should think about. Stop trying to look at everything as trying to be cool. You know, it's not about who's cool, who's the illest. Like, you know what I mean? No. When your sanity is in jeopardy and it's all has to do with mental health, who cares about looking cool or what people think? You got to get up and do your research, and maybe medicine is not the solution to everything. You know what I'm saying? Because at one point, I'm not going to lie, I was like, I don't want to be no guinea pig. I don't want to take all these medications. I don't want to walk around here being like a zombie out here. But then I had to think about it. Like, if I talk to my doctor and I say, listen, like, I don't want to be no zombie, but I need something to keep me functioning.
So and that's, you know what, it's a good point, because I do believe there's an understanding that when you make the decision that you're going to do differently, that for you personally, if medication is a part of that, then that's the decision that you made long ago, and that the medication is just one tool to help bring about your personal success. Right. So what does personal success look like to you?
My personal success, man, I don't even know, like, I'm doing good. Like, my personal success is, you know, if I keep everything that I'm doing on the right track, I keep working with DMH, I keep up with my appointments, I keep up doing the daily routines that I'm doing as far as taking my medicine, you know what I'm saying, going to school, just doing a lot of positive things that can reflect on my energy. I think my future will be bright. Like, I'm doing podcasting with Fronto King, you know. I promote things for people here and there, you know, like. So you
maintaining your current lifestyle in terms of keeping up with the appointments, and this is what works for you.
Yes.
It might work differently for somebody else, but doing what you're doing now regularly is what will set you up for success.
Yes. If you just keep your mind focused. I'm really the type of person that I'm based off energy and spirituality. I don't care what nobody thinks about me. People could watch this review and be like, oh, okay. And I wouldn't even care if it's good or bad. I just know that this is the stuff that I have to face on a daily basis in my life. And I feel like, with all due respect, like, I love being bipolar, honestly, because we're so misunderstood people. We're very misunderstood people. People get bipolar and PTSD confused all the time. It's not the same.
No, I agree.
You know? And a lot of people with bipolar disorder are very intelligent. You know, so I don't know.
No, I think you do know. Thank you. Can I get my phone? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
See, this is why I love this series, because